hang on, sorry. There we go. Okay. All right, welcome to Keeping It Real, the largest podcast made by real estate agents and for real estate agents. My name is DJ Paris. I'm your guide and host through the show. Today is our monthly series that we've been doing for years. It's our last one of 2025 called Unpopular Real Estate Opinions with the smartest guy in the room, Chris Linsell. And let me tell you about Chris in case you're new to the show. By the way, if you are new, welcome. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. We appreciate you. But let me tell you about Chris in case you don't know him. Chris is a real estate technology analyst. He's also director of content at large. He specializes in new solutions to old questions, constantly exploring the cutting edge of technology in the real estate space. He is many years of experience as a licensed realtor in the state of Michigan. He's worked as a marketer, a digital strategist, and a trainer for major national brands like Berkshire Hathaway Home Services of Michigan, Coldwell Banker Schmidt Realtors. Throughout his real estate career, Chris has been part of hundreds of transactions, ranging from modest rural starter homes to multi-million-dollar waterside compounds. He's an accomplished musician, actor, and speaker. He speaks, I think, every year for the last 5 or 6 years, maybe longer, at the NAR conference, along with many other local and regional conferences. If you are looking for somebody to tell you what's ahead in real estate and what's coming up for realtors, he is the guy to talk to and have speak at your events. ChrisLinsell.com is where you can find that. Chris, welcome back to the show.
DJ, it's a pleasure to be here. Happy December. Can't
We
believe
should
it.
also mention, I always forget to mention, you are at Luxury Presence. So Chris is, Chris is at Luxury Presence. He's the director of content at large, and everybody knows who LP as they're called in the industry. Check them out; they're amazing.
Yeah. I lead a team of really amazing storytellers as the director of content there. My job is to help tell the story of our products and our services and our people. So, this is not a Luxury Presence sponsored appearance, but if you're looking for technology to help power your business, we got a lot of cool stuff going on over there. So come on over, see us, luxurypresence.com. But DJ, I'm here. I'm excited. I'm actually on the road right now. I'm in New York City. I can't get away. I can't end the year without a big trip. So I'm here to take care of some business here, talk to some great folks, and I'm here to talk to you because I've got this thing brewing inside me. My unpopular opinion. It's been kind of fermenting for a while, and I don't have a way to get it out. I figured you'd be the perfect source for this.
Well, I feel so honored. What is it?
My unpopular opinion. And I'm sorry, everyone. This is where I'm coming from here. I think 2026 could be the last year that we see the National Association of Realtors, at least as we know it right now. I think 2026, this might be the sunset year of what we've all come to understand as the National.
But they just laid out this massive plan. I saw this plan.
It's true. Everybody makes big plans. It's true. And I'm not saying that they're going to go away completely. Right. Like, I don't think this is, I don't think the URL is going to be available at the end of the year or anything. But I think the writing is on the wall. The influence and place in the industry for the National Association of Realtors, we are approaching a decision point. And a lot has happened this year to kind of point us in that direction. But yeah, I think that's my bold assertion right now. The NAR, this might not be what you recognize a year from now.
Yeah, the way I live in Chicago where NAR is headquartered. I go to that building often, although I'm not on the NAR floors, so I really don't have access to them. But I do have access, maybe more so than other people who don't live here in Chicago, and I do get to speak to NAR people occasionally. And what I've gathered and what I think their most important function is, from my perspective, and again, just my perspective, and I think it is really important, is the sort of the Washington connection. They need to be there to protect the jobs of agents because technology is coming in. Technology moves faster than humans, the human part of this job, and technology is constantly threatening the livelihoods of realtors. I think people have felt that ever since 2001 perhaps. And what's really important is we have 1 point whatever 3-4 million jobs here. And if NAR, if that was their sole focus, in my opinion, we are here to protect your income. I think they would be strong. I think that it's any derivation from that. I think is not that important to me, because all I care about at the end of the day is we have hundreds and hundreds of realtors at our firm. I'm out of a job if they're out of a job. So
Mm,
if that becomes their sole focus, that's really all I care about. I don't know.
yeah.
What say you?
I mean, I think that that makes sense. However, uh, that doesn't that doesn't wash for me in terms of what the reality of both our political climate and the reality of this business is.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the bottom line for me is no matter who you support, what side of the aisle you're on politically, it's just objective observation. The current administration and the likely leadership in Washington has demonstrated that, at least for the next couple of years, until there's a big enough election to change things, that they are uh, 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 bearish on regulation of
Oh yes.
technology, especially technology that is developing right now. AI technology, robotics technology, big data technology. This is the technology that will affect the real estate
Yeah.
industry. And
And they're all
over
in on it. They're
Oh,
all in.
yeah, exactly. Over and over, the current executive administration and the congressional body has demonstrated a not just a lack of interest, but a lack of willingness to act on any sort of regulation on broad swaths of industries, including real estate and
Yeah.
housing. So I think if you couch the NAR's primary purpose as a lobbying body, I think that there is stuff that can be done for lobbying and advocacy, but protection of our jobs against forces like technology is an unrealistic expectation
Yeah.
from my
You're right.
perspective. I
Yeah.
also think that, and this is important to recognize, I also I'd be willing to bet that the average member of the National Association of Realtors has zero clue that that is something that this body does, that they have absolutely no idea of the role and responsibility of the NAR as a lobbying and interest group on behalf of real estate professionals. And that's not to say that the work that they're doing isn't important in that realm. I think it is important in that realm, but they have told a terrible story in terms of being able to communicate that value to their members. And this is, I think, a symptom of one of the reasons why I am very skeptical that the NAR will look and function the same way that it does right now a year from now. I think that there is a massive disconnect between the understanding of the NAR's value amongst its members and what it actually does. And
Mm.
this is going to result in a significant attrition of membership, especially given the fact that in November, NAR approved a motion that says that you don't need to be a member of the NAR to get access to your local association. Now, a
Yep.
local association can require that on their own independently, but
Yep.
local associations would be insane if this stayed the same, because members have been demanding this. The NAR has now granted this. I bet the membership numbers of the NAR in 2026, this could touch a negative growth rate. I think it could touch double digits. If we see that, this body has changed forever. I don't know if we will, but my perspective on this is members do not have any idea of what the value that this organization is
No.
providing them. They're not
I'm
going to join
unclear.
it.
I'm unclear on what they do, and I pay a little bit of attention, but
Mhm.
if we keep going to this logical end conclusion, it doesn't stop with NAR. Now we're talking about what's the value of the state association, what's the
Mhm.
value of the local association, and here in Chicago, and I don't know if this is nationwide, although I suspect it probably will be. We now, and this is the buzz that's happening here, is local associations, which are really the gatekeepers to the MLS for here in our local market. They are now decoupling just like commissions, and you can actually purchase directly access to MLS without becoming a member of the local and state and also national association. So
Mhm.
everybody's now having to sort of apply for their jobs again, and I am going to be and I'm somebody who volunteers at the local associations. I like our association. I think we do a lot of wonderful things, and I'm curious on how. But we also know that most agents don't take advantage of the resources that are provided. We just really, it's kind of an MLS fee if we think about it for most of us. And if we're not utilizing those resources on the NAR side, state or local, why should I pay $1,000 a year when I can just buy the MLS directly for 500?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's interesting to listen to you talk about the how the cascading effect of loss of confidence in the NAR would take. I agree. I think absolutely state associations will be under fire if this move starts to happen at the NAR. I don't actually have the same concern that you do about local association support changing, because in the same way that government works, there's a lot of immediately accessible value that you can understand from the work of a local association and a local government. From a local association, you just gotta. These are the folks that literally keep the MLS running, and
Right.
so you recognize these are people whose work is directly benefiting what you're trying to do. These are also the people that are enforcing
Yeah. The rules. Yeah.
the rules,
Yeah.
and directly. These are folks that you will see in the hallways.
Yep.
These are folks who will call you before a disciplinary board, or will be the ones listening to your complaints if you have them.
Or
These people,
mediating between. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah. They're there
exactly.
to protect you for sure.
And so there is like an immediate connection of the value that folks on the local level provide to professionals. That connection is one level removed at the state, it's two
Yeah.
levels removed, maybe higher at the national level. And so there is, to some degree, some protection for local folks. But I love the way that you phrased that everybody is kind of interviewing for their job again. And uh, to some degree, I actually think that's an ironic and poignant choice of words, because we are also in a time in the industry where a lot of real estate professionals are having to, I mean, de facto interview for their jobs again, because consumers, either directly or kind of implicitly, are asking of professionals, is there something that you can do for me that ChatGPT can't do for me? Is there something that you personally can provide to me, whether it's insight or experience or perspective, that I can't get from Gemini or from Claude?
Yep.
If the answer is only, I have access to the forms, or I have access to the MLS, that is not going to be a hurdle for, if it is at all, it
Right.
won't be a hurdle for very long at all. And
Consumers will
so,
wise up to that for sure.
without a doubt, and there are, I was just reading in Inman the other week, there are peer-to-peer real estate transaction platforms that are getting funded by venture capital at amazing rates right now, such that there are builders and company founders that are recognizing this is not, the peer-to-peer system is not appropriate for all transactions.
Right.
But if there are instances where the value that a real estate professional can that provides stops at the water's edge of, Lake ChatGPT. Those are not transactions that require professionals, at least in this current context. And so there
Yeah.
are technology solutions being developed for that exact moment. And that is going to be a huge chunk. And I say huge, I mean like easily double digits, if not more, of our industry are real estate professionals who are simply servicing access to data and forms. Those people are going to be out of here. And you can imagine a world where the NARs, where the NAR was being incredibly aggressive in technology training, in job skill leveling up, in transforming their membership into a 21st century workforce
Yeah.
that could absolutely revolutionize the way that we think about and manage this industry. And I read a lot about what's happening in this space. I got to say, I don't hear a lot coming out of the NAR on this ground. I would love to, but I just don't think it's in the cards. And I
It,
don't think that they have the consumer confidence to inspire a lot of attention if they were to make that right turn.
yeah, you're right. So the idea of having them as a lobbying organization, obviously important in some fashion, but maybe more important, and I agree with you. I didn't think about this, was leveling up skills. If they could help us level up our skill set to at the very least the interpersonal skills, the stuff that Chat GPT can't solve for yet, and hopefully never, the emotional connections, the whatever people, the person to person stuff that goes into this job that
Mhm,
you know people can work on and develop, and the experience. How do I become so important that I know information about my local market that it's just ChatGPT just wouldn't be able to know, because I'm so tied into the community. Is
mhm.
community, I know the people, I know the players, I know who makes things happen. That's the stuff that people are going to need, and ChatGPT will solve for everything else. I mean,
Yeah.
it's already solved for most everything else.
Yeah. Now, I will say, for what it's worth, I have a vision of like if I was rebuilding NAR, like if I got to push the pause button and I got to rebuild NAR into exactly what I would want for a national trade association. Because let's remember, this is a trade
Yep.
association. The NAR is not a governmental regulator.
Right.
It can't enforce laws. It is not a consumer protection agency. It doesn't advocate for consumers at all. It's not a neutral market referee at all. It's not a housing affordability advocacy group at all. It's none of those things, which is okay. I mean, some of this stuff it has never really claimed to be. It's just kind of not dispelled the myth and rumor that it is these things. But if I was pushing pause on time right now, and I got to rebuild the NAR exactly and as I think it could be the most effective and efficient. There are four big things that I would have it focus on. Number one, you nailed it before. It would be a lobbying group. It would be the most incredible advocacy for our industry in Washington and in the local state houses that we've ever seen. And it's already doing that to some degree. Most people don't know about it. So we would continue doing what we're doing right now, but we would get somebody into that marketing and comms office that could tell that story better than some bland blog posts and press releases that nobody reads. That would be the first thing. The second thing is I would turn it into this absolute data powerhouse. We
Mm,
already do this. It already does this to some degree, but we would need to multiply it times 10. Real estate has incredible data in it. Think about all of the data that gets listed when you list a property for sale. On my MLS, it's like 300 fields that need to get
right.
filled in. Imagine if the NAR committed to being 10x uh, data collection, insights, and analysis.
Yep.
And we could easily do this. We could do 100x, frankly, based on the power that AI unlocks in terms of big data analysis and understanding of what that meta analysis will drive for us. That would be the second thing. And the only way to really unlock the second thing would be the third thing. And this is where I'm going to get in trouble with somebody, I'm sure. I would love it if the NAR would say, guys, it's time. It's time for a national MLS.
Yeah.
And take all the MLSs and put them
Yep.
into one unified system that is still locally administrated by local
Mhm.
boards, but we have one unified system that gets you access to every listing in the country so that you can take full advantage of that data that we were just talking about. You can do comparisons.
Yeah.
CMAs would get 1,000 times more
Oh,
accurate
could you imagine? It would be
if you could
amazing.
if you could start to compare like properties in similar markets
Yeah.
across the United States, your CMAs would get insanely accurate, and it would be better for the consumers
Well,
too, frankly.
here's a use case. So you have a couple that is nearing retirement and wants to live somewhere warm and isn't particularly tied into a certain state or city community. Their friends are all over the place, so they can kind of go. They have four different options. This is where this data could be super useful as an agent here in not those markets. You could say, "Hey, I've done this." Research for you with AI and with all of the NAR data, and we've run some comps, and here's where you're going to get your best bang for your buck. And you could have that conversation here before heading down. And I mean, that would be amazing.
So then, number 4, it would be amazing, by the way. It would
Yeah.
be incredible. NAR, if you're listening to this, think about it. This would be a great idea. I know that there's a lot that goes into this sort of thing, and it's easy for me to talk about it on a podcast because I don't actually have to build the systems. But this is the future of what we're looking for. The fourth one, and again, I know this is not exactly what I would. I know I'm going to get flack from somebody on this, but hear me out on this. Number 4 is this needs to be the body that regulates not just the enforcement of the code of ethics, but this needs to be the body that partners with state and federal administrations to regulate and create a higher barrier to entry to getting a real estate license.
Yeah.
This is not unprecedented. You cannot become a lawyer or a doctor without passing the bar exam,
Yeah.
without taking your medical boards.
Yep.
You cannot become an accountant without both passing state and federal tests as well as partnered trade tests.
Yep.
There should be an NAR standard in order to get admittance to the National Association of Realtors and be able to practice and get access to the local MLS. The barrier to entry to our industry has to be a little bit higher because this will prevent a flood of inexperienced and unserious professionals into the space. Frankly, we've experienced that for 100 years now because the barrier to entry into the space is so low. If we formalized the entry into this just 2 steps higher than what it is right now, and by getting passing that just a little bit higher bar, you get amazing access to national data, to this now higher regarded group of professionals, because everybody in this group is here to play. We're not just here to stand around and stare at our shoes. The entire industry would benefit from this. I would even advocate, and again, don't come at me on. Actually, you can come at me. I don't care. Existing agents, if this was something that the NAR took on, existing agents should have to retest in
Sure.
order to get into this new and improved system. The long and the short of it is the NAR took a real punch in the gut back in, I think it was March of last year, when the lawsuit settlement was issued. $8 million, I think, and a cash penalty, a whole bunch of regulatory. I say regulatory, they're not regulatory, they're not regulations by the government, just trade group policies that had to change. And the real estate industry took it on the chin in the mass media for about 3 months here. But the reality is, things really haven't changed that much as in terms of the day-to-day operations of most real estate professionals, which means to me, or that what that says here is that the NAR is the face and the mouthpiece for an industry, but the rest of us that are actually operating in the industry, and we don't actually believe that. We don't think the NAR is representative of who we are and what we do. We don't think of what they say is representative of what we say and what we think. And so the NAR took this big punch in the gut in terms of the penalty and all of the stuff that came along with it. But most agents, they just had to tolerate the news that came along with it.
Yeah.
And that was about it. Because I think you and I were talking before the show kicked off. We all expected to see commission rates compress as a result of these lawsuits. They've actually, on average, inflated. You make more than you did pre lawsuit settlement on average in the United States by like a tenth of a point, which is a lot if you consider what the typical gross commission income is in the United States. So, I mean, it's time. The NA, and I think the writing isn't just on the wall. It's starting. We're starting to see this happen. This perception changing. I don't think we're going to see the same body in December 2026 as we see right now.
You brought up a good point about leveling up with our accreditations or just our skills, and NAR being the it really should be their main focus. That really is part and parcel with going to Washington and saying, we want to protect these jobs. Here's what we're doing so that Washington would hopefully look favorably on helping protect our jobs. Because if NAR could say, here's what we're demanding of our members, and what we're doing now is, the biggest challenge I've seen in the getting into this business is just passing local or state and federal exams, which are mostly based on memorization of facts and data, and not necessarily use case, like not necessarily like going out in the real world. How do I actually apply the code of ethics? What do I do in scenario A, scenario B? What should I do? Because ultimately, that's what's most important, is how am I applying the code of ethics to my business? And there is very little information and testing on that, and that needs to be the most important part of being a realtor, because that's what the rubber meets the road. Like, you are actually working with clients, and you need to know, if another realtor calls you and asks you this question, you need to know, what am I allowed to say in return, and what am I not allowed to say? How do I not violate fair housing when XYZ question comes in? These are things that they could focus on, and people would have a better buying or selling experience. Consumers would benefit. The agent would benefit because they would know more, and the whole industry would improve. But it would have to be something that is probably demanded by at the federal, or sorry, at the national level of the trade organization, and say,
With,
guys, it's time to level up, and we're going to provide all the training. We're going to tell you exactly what to do. And they can do that. I don't know. This isn't hard. They
yeah,
can build these tools, and
yeah.
they can train us, and realtors will do it. They will absolutely want to level up their skills. And the ones that won't will self-select out, and fine. We don't want them anyway. So I'm with you. I think that would be an amazing thing for NAR to take on.
Yeah, and to your point, like the test you have to pass for the bar exam, medical boards, all of these things include exactly what you described.
Oh,
It
I
is
know. Yeah.
real world
Yeah.
scenarios, and I mean, truthfully, what I remember the most, and this is a lot of years ago now, so bear with me on this, but you know what I remember the most from the real estate license exam in Michigan? Having to memorize how many square feet were in an acre, and
Right.
that's 43,600 or 560, excuse me.
Yeah.
I remember that because I knew, like I just did the math on the test. I'm like, okay, all of these questions are worth the same. I have to get like 60 questions right in order to pass this exam. If I can, I know that this will be on there. So I spent an inordinate amount of time memorizing how many square feet were in an acre. That has literally never come up once in my entire. And you know what? If it did come up, I got a phone that can tell me these things. I
Mm,
don't need to know that. I'm not going to be
right.
Googling the things that will happen in the real world. I'll actually just be navigating these things with my experience. So
Here in Illinois, if you are a hairstylist, you must do, and this is amazing. Uh, we don't often think about and please forgive anyone who is in this field. I have so much respect for you. I love the person that cuts my hair. I think she's unbelievable. But we don't often think of that as a super highly skilled job. It's just somebody who's good at cutting hair. But the reality is they have to do 1,500 hours of literal like apprenticeship before they can even practice. That's after passing the test. 1,500 hours. Like, we don't have any hours you have to do other than a couple of tests and maybe some post licensing stuff. But and I'm not saying we need to have 1,500 hours, but like the reason why they do that is because they could hurt you. There could be a medical issue if they cut you with scissors, and yeah, they feel like, yeah, that's pretty important. They're cutting around your brain, like it's a significant part of the human body. We need to make sure these people know exactly what they're doing, even though we just think of them as they just cut hair. No, they are really, really, really skilled, even though we don't give them the credit. This is what we could bring to some version of this in to because we're dealing with somebody's, in many cases, their largest financial transaction. This is as important as getting your hair cut by somebody that's not going to poke your brain with their scissors. Like, you have to know what to do. And we pushed it off to brokerages. Like, brokerages, you're the ones who are going to really teach the how to do this stuff. And it's like, that's not because now you don't have any standard. Now there's no standard of practice, and so that's what I think. I agree with you. I think we could really push NAR to deliver more there.
well, to your point, I think my kind of final position on this as we wrap up is the reality is, I think NAR is I'm pretty I feel pretty confident, frankly, that the NAR is going to start to change
Mm,
quickly in terms of its complexion. I don't have super high expectations that my dream scenario will be fulfilled here. So, what does that mean for most agents? It means that all of the benefits, like the express benefits that we just talked through, um, these are not industry standards or options, which means that if you can find a way to create that value in your own business, you have immediate advantage over
oh yeah.
all of your competitors. Like, we do not have what I would consider to be anywhere close to a mature uh, data analysis engine when it comes to the real estate industry. Like, there are some third party platforms that will do it for you, but nothing that your local board or your state association or your national association, like the level of detailed granularity, and how often you get data reports and how usable they are relative to your consumers. We are 100 steps behind where we could be right now. But the good news is you have access to that data via the MLS.
Mhm.
You can do this sort of analysis and be the smartest guy or gal in the room just by virtue of asking the right questions and having the data set to use AI in order to analyze and draw the answer from. You have that option. Everybody does, but very few people are going to do it. You can do this though, and by default your competitors are not doing it. So take advantage of the things that NAR should be doing and just do them for yourself. Level up your skill set with the sort of post-professional training that will give you an advantage that you can brag about later on. Do the things about advocacy, You don't have to go to Washington to do this. Show up at your local zoning boards, show up at school board committees, show up at town council meetings, wherever the sorts of decisions are being made on a local level. Show up, listen, provide your perspective and opinion. You have the option of doing these things yourself if the NAR won't do them for you. And by default, your competitors won't do these things. So if you do them, you're immediately the smartest person in the room. That's it. It's easy. It is a sacrifice of time, and it's a decision that has to be made. But we're not asking you. I know I am not asking. I don't think that this is at all a sacrifice beyond what would be reasonably considered an ambitious professional. And if you're not an ambitious professional, then this isn't for you. But if you are, this is stuff that you can do right now.
If I was a practicing agent, what I would be doing right now is I would be getting an API feed from my MLS. I'd pay for that, which is very reasonable. I don't know. Sometimes you see these API feeds as low as the IDX feed, rather, via API, is usually, I don't know, 20 bucks a month, maybe $100 a month at most, somewhere in that neighborhood. So you get that data feed. You can have the your local MLS, whatever the data provider is, that will sign off on that. It's your data. You have access to it. You pay for this access. You can connect that to an AI engine, whether it's Claude or OpenAI or Gemini or whoever, or make through Zapier or Make.com. You can connect these data points to this data together, and now you can have AI do exactly what you were saying, is now start interpreting data in my local market. Give me the data that is going to help me service my clients more effectively, and it will build it for you. Like, you can literally have that data stored somewhere and then consistently update it and ask AI to pull out the most relevant information. Now, you have to make sure the AI is getting you doing the calculations correctly, and that's a whole other thing. But it'll at least get you on the right track. So you're right. You don't have to wait for NAR or another tool to be built. You can now build these tools yourself, and that's what I would be doing. I mean, we've done this ourselves with our brokerage. We just now have a data feed straight to the MLS, and we're building our own tools to figure out exactly what we need for our agents.
Mm. I mean, it is the opportunity is now. The
Mhm.
opportunity is now, and uh, this is, frankly, I think most people will hear this, kind of mid to late December. You've got some time right now. If you're listening to
Mhm.
this mid to late December, you are probably not working as much as you would be a month from now. Take some time to just sit, reflect, drink an eggnog, and think about what old Uncle Chris and DJ have been saying here. And think about what your 2026 plans are going to be to create velocity around these opportunities, because whether you do or do not, you're making a choice to go in one direction or another. So, and I guarantee you, both will be hard. So just choose the hard that you want. Do you want the hard that is associated with innovation and pushing your business forward? Or do you want the hard associated with standing still and watching your competitors pace out in front of you? The choice seems pretty straightforward to me, but up to you guys. Enjoy your holiday break. Think about what you need to do in order to make 2026 successful.
And don't take your foot off the gas, because remember, anything you're doing now is going to bear fruit in 90 to 100 days from now, 90 to
Yep.
120 days. So, this is time to reconnect with clients, with your sphere, and let them know that you're thinking about them. Give them something of value, that maybe even if it's just a reappraisal of what you believe their property is worth today, even if it's just that, which, by the way, AI can sort of do and maybe do a decent job of, but you with your local experience might do a better job. So those are things that you could hand deliver to everybody in your sphere this holiday, and say, "Hey, I was thinking about you. Here's something I think would be of value to you." And then you can start now having conversations about future plans. All right, ChrisLinsell.com is where you go to learn about everything Chris. And I did not know you were in New York, actually, so that is exciting. I'm glad you're there. I'm jealous. Please go visit Katz's Deli if you haven't already. But it's my favorite deli in New York. It's everybody's favorite deli in New York. But yeah, that's one of my favorite places. And yeah, on behalf of all of our audience, thank you, Chris, for another year of amazing unpopular real estate opinions. We appreciate you so much. You have so much insight and foresight into what's going on in this industry, and you're not afraid to share some of those unpopular opinions. We appreciate you. And on behalf of Chris and myself, to the audience, thank you for another year of checking out our show and listening. Our viewership is up. We appreciate you. Please tell a friend about this show. We have all sorts of cool things we're looking to do in 2026, which you will be able to, which I'll be talking about shortly. So stay tuned for that. But it will also be a lot of the same stuff we're doing now, but we're just going to add on and have even more shows to share with you next year. So, all right, Chris, I will see you in 2026. Have a wonderful holiday season, and yeah, I'm just glad. I'm glad realtors are still relevant today, and they're still going to be relevant into the near future, and I'm grateful for that. And so let's celebrate that at the very least. The robots have not taken over.
Not yet. DJ, pleasure. Talk to you soon.